This is a lecture video 738 through 745, finishing up the New Deal. We're going to talk about the New Deal, North, South, East, and West. The New Deal agricultural programs help Southern agricultural advance. Remember, Southern agriculture, as far as growing food-wise, is still behind the West and the North. Certain agencies like FARA and WPA, we talked about these before. These are your acronyms. If we go back to here, okay, you have all your different things. Federal Emergency Relief Act, the WPA is the Works Progress Administration. So remember, those are all interchangeable, the acronym and the word, and you need to know what they are, as we talked about previously. The Tennessee Valley Authority, or the TVA, coordinated activities across 7 states to control floods and generate hydroelectricity. So basically, they would come into communities and say, hey, we're going to make a dam. Your area is going to be flooded. It's going to be underwater. You need to move. And then they make a reservoir with the dam and then let water through to make hydroelectricity. The Rural Electrification Administration brought power to rural areas, not everywhere, but brought power to homes. And then the Works Progress Administration would allow people to come in and wire your home for electricity. The West received the most per capita aid and welfare, relief programs, and loans. The Bureau of Reclamation built huge dams to control western river systems and promote large-scale development. Again, we've talked about this previously. Without the movement and the Bureau of Reclamation, without the movement of water to certain areas, places in West Texas and westward would not be habitable for large areas of development for human housing and things of that nature. Here's the Tennessee Valley Authority. As I told you here, that you can see all the different dashes are where they built dams. And so this is all a floodplain here, okay? And they put in all these different dams to stop the rivers, move the rivers, change it up so that they could control the land, which is actually really cool. And it produces cheap electricity as well. The New Deal programs often helped groups shape public policy and social and economic behaviors by fostering grassroots democracy. The AAA set up committees comprised of more than 100,000 people to implement agricultural policies and perform other services. So they're going into communities with the farmers and helping them try to change some of these ideas. You know, the whole idea is with the farmers is if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Well, that's an okay mentality, but with the Dust Bowl, it broke. I mean, it literally broke. So now we got to come in and change these attitudes or these ideas of these individuals and to make sure that they understand that they need to change. Change is better for everybody. Urban areas, public housing projects were initiated locally with those state funds that are given to the states through different means and different programs of the New Deal. Unions, religious and civic groups, neighborhood associations, civil rights groups formed associations to overcome the hostility of bankers and realty agents to public housing. So they're going to work together to kind of take the power out of the hands of the rich and to put it back in the hands of the people. All right, so the New Deal comes under attack a little bit by the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court declared several of the important measures unconstitutional after his landslide election in 1936. So FDR goes, okay, we're going to change up the way the government is set up. And instead of having 9 Supreme Court justices, we're going to add 8 more to make it 17. And that way, in FDR's mind, he could add 8 new Supreme Court justices that were pro New Deal judges, and that way he could get everything passed. This is called his court packing plan. But this fails, and a lot of the people in the New Deal, in the New Deal coalition, or the people that supported the New Deal, kind of split off. Some people go, I can't believe he did that. Others go, well, that was a good try, sort of thing. But it splits what people think, should he have done that or should he have not done that? Once federal loans or expenditures or monies are cut to help balance the budget or make it so that we're not spending more money than we're actually making, a recession occurs in 1937, which in turn takes the federal government to increase spending. The recession strengthened New Deal opponents, and the conservative congressional leadership blocked most new reforms. Like, look, we can keep spending what we did spend, but we don't need to spend anymore, or we're going to end up in a recession or even worse recession, once we start to take away some of these New Deal reforms. Roosevelt extended what was called the Good Neighbor policy in Latin America to try to help out Latin America, but relations were strained due to our economic depression, and we supported the dictators that were there. We don't really want to be involved. We have our own problems to worry about, and so we just kind of back status quo and say, whatever it is, this dictator may not be somebody you like, but sorry for you. This is the way we're going. And new threats start to grow. Hitler takes power with Nazism. Mussolini takes power with fascism. And Roosevelt does his best through the fireside chats to educate or inform the American people of what's going on in Europe. He can see the writing on the wall. He knows that our desire for peace at all costs and resisting involvement in European affairs, that's what most Americans want and believe in, may not work. Our relationship with Japan is not going well. Japan is gobbling up certain places. They're going into China. They're going into different areas, and we're keeping a watchful eye on them because at this point in the world, we are the number one exporter of oil, and they're getting their oil and their steel and most of their building products from us. And so we're keeping a close eye on Japan to see if they're going to become a real aggressor and see what they do. Once Hitler starts invading different places, it starts raising red flags, of course, for Roosevelt. But once he signs the Munich Agreement with England, which basically says that he's not going to take anything else except for this last little piece of Czechoslovakia known as the Sudetenland, he's not going to take anything else after that, FDR starts preparing for war because he knows that Hitler's not going to stop. He has that feeling. He knows that war is inevitable in Europe. It's going to happen again, and we need to get prepared. And he tries to change the people's minds on neutrality. Let's change it up. We're not going to be able to be neutral. We need to make sure that we're ready. Be prepared. This is a street in Berlin which shows broken windows from what was known as Kristallnacht, or the Night of Broken Glass, where they go and round up all the Jews and force them into ghettos. So we have made it through the Great Depression and the New Deal for this unit, and now we're going to have a build-up for war. The New Deal does not get us all the way out of hard economic times. As we just saw, it gets us out of the Great Depression. We get a few steps out of the Great Depression, and then we stop spending as much, and we take a few steps back in a recession. War is going to be the thing that is going to get us completely out of the Great Depression. And unfortunately, it's going to be World War World War II. Wow. This is the lecture 738 through 745.